Let's talk about Michael. Michael's actually, I say it in all my videos, but one of the newest members of our fractional sales consulting program. And in just 8 days, he was able to go out there and make $7,500, almost a complete doubling of his investment in our sales consulting program. But not only that, back to back, he has another client lined up who's ready to pay him another 10K plus revenue shares to be able to work with him and partnering and growing the business. In this video, I'm gonna explain exactly, or we're gonna learn exactly what he did to be able to go out there and land these types of clients and how you can go out there and do something similar. Now, Michael isn't just some run-of-the-mill high-ticket closer. He had a little bit of experience with sales management, but truthfully, he had less high-ticket experience than some of you guys watching this video might have. All he had was a good setup, and we'll talk about that in this video, that allowed him to go out there and leverage his network to land some banger clients. So without further ado, let's hop into it. I'm here with Michael. Michael, how are you doing?
Good. What's up?
Yeah, glad to hear. Well, I mean, I'm doing great because you're here because you closed your first sales consulting client. Now, you didn't get the fastest client record, but you might get the highest earning record. There might be a part two for whenever that comes over the line. But
Yeah.
today, we're going to talk about your experience with the sales consulting program and how it was you're able to go out there. And I think it was 7 days or less. How quick was it, if you can recall?
My when I got the payment, well, the verbal commitment was probably like 3 or 4 days, but the actual payment coming through and getting started on things was 8 days out, like 8 days from me joining.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're going to cover the client and everything. So, but prior to joining the sales consulting program, yeah, what's kind of your background? What was your experience?
So I mean, I have a background just in like I come from door-to-door sales. I started off knocking on doors. I eventually moved into high-ticket sales. Was closing for a couple, different offers like coaching offers and biz op offers and stuff like that. And then I settled down on a pretty good offer with a really large company and a really large influencer.
Hmm.
I was able to I started off as a closer. I became a sales manager, and I was running that for a while. And I kind of just saw that like I understand like fundamentally how these kind of things work, right?
Hmm.
I just need like a little bit of assistance and guidance for me to kind of do it on my own versus being supported by like a team.
1000%. And how many years all in of sales experience do you feel like you had prior to kind of making that jump?
I started I started in sales in December of 2022, right? So I was
Hmm.
19 years old. I just turned 19. And I started knocking on doors. In high ticket specifically, I have about a year and a half of that.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. That's kind of right at the threshold of what we'd recommend. With high ticket, we talk about having two like full years, but because you did door to door and kind of had your chops and the character building, then probably that played well into, being able to not only come into high ticket, but, get to that place where you're comfortable as a consultant. Now, where were you at like right prior to the program? Like what was kind of running around in your mind that inspired you to like, hey, I think I should maybe jump into or, take this more seriously?
Well, to be honest, so I was working as a sales manager on a pretty good offer. They had me with a good base, plus I was getting commission. Right. I was still closing though. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I was just pretty much managing the setting team, and I was a sole closer. But I just was ready to pretty much hire a closer in the next couple weeks. Right. And I
Hmm.
still am on that offer because I mean that offer they kind of turned into one of my clients pretty much that I'm
Hmm.
how I'm running it now. But yeah, so what was going through my mind is like, okay, I'm closing for these guys, and it's a great offer, and I have a lot of time on my hands, and I want to be able to take more advantage of it in a higher leverage thing than just closing. I don't want to just take another role and I'm just hopping on sales calls all day. Like I want to
Right.
do something that's a little bit more higher leverage that I can kind of just take my income to the next level. Because I mean, as a closer, I've seen in 10s, 15s, 20s, 20K months. I want to be able to do a lot more than that.
Yeah, 1000%. And that piece you said there, like the leverage, that's probably one of the biggest things. It's like when you're a closer, yeah, it's high leverage, right? Where you're making money, but you're still not, having a fleet of closers underneath you is a very different experience than just doing the deals yourself. So, and what was that thing in your mind that, like, what was the straw that broke that, inspired you kind of actually pull the trigger on the program?
It was the thought that okay, back in January, I was like, all right, I'm probably gonna be really filled up. I considered doing something like this, and I knew about kind of fractional, FSC group for a while.
Hmm.
I was considered doing something like this, but I was like, you know what, I'm probably gonna get really, really busy, and I don't want to have too much on my plate, so let me just like hold back on it, right? And then March
Hmm.
came around, and I was like, oh, the offer's gonna ramp up even more soon. I'm gonna be really busy. But then I was like, wait, I said that a couple months ago, and if I started something a couple months ago, I would have been in a lot better of a position now. So let me just
Hmm.
start something now. So in 2 months from now, I'm going to be in a lot better of a position.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's a really strong point right there. That I for anybody watching this, that is a very common, kind of the when then, like when things are better, then I'll do what it is that I need to do. That I think a lot of people get stuck in, especially when you're in this internet sales space or remote high ticket, because you really don't know. It's really out of your hands, and that's kind of the beauty of I think being that consultant when you're more cued into what's actually going on, and you can see and see those timelines in real time. You can budget better, but kudos to actually, overcoming that and just seeing what you were at and just knowing that, yeah, got to call a spade at some point, right? I can't be like the people that I'm inspiring to do things. Now, what were your expectations coming into the program, and then how was it actually?
So honestly, my expectations were like for me to do like I'm gonna get in. Realistically, the thinking behind it was like, okay, right, if I put some money into this, it'll not like I do have like a lot of the skills to do what I need to do in order to start a type of business. I just need like the small gaps of understanding in between and the
Hmm.
support to kind of make things a little bit easier throughout, right? And I was like, if I put some money behind this, it'll apply a little bit of pressure to me,
Hmm.
so I can actually go ahead and do it. My expectations were that I was going to be doing a lot of cold outreach like, immediately from day one, just DMing 1,000 people on Instagram every single day. You know what I mean? Until I get the client. And at this point, I landed a client. I almost landed. I'm landing my second one soon, and I haven't done one bit of cold outreach yet. Well, I guess that
Yeah.
is probably the biggest thing that kind of shifted my perspective because I was fully prepared to just like, okay, let's lock in an email, message, and reach out on Instagram to as many people as humanly possible and really get this done. All right.
Yep.
But I haven't, like I said, I haven't touched cold outreach once.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, no, and, I think, like, that was something that was interesting when you had joined was I think just people sometimes aren't aware of how much they actually have that they can leverage and use, and also I think, like, I kinda observed it from when you had actually committed to join that I think your confidence and that congruence in yourself of, like, "I am this, like, I gotta get after it and do it," and I think just maybe, like, a little push from, my side towards you, like, it definitely had that conviction when it was like, "Okay, I'm gonna just start telling people this is what I'm about, this is what I do," and the receptivity I think was there, but equally because there was that alignment behind you and doing it as opposed to just, hey, I'm kind of this. But also I think having us as that plan B, it's not plan B, but like the backup is like, okay, how is this going to go? Like the guarantee on the delivery, I think, was something that, I'd kind of observed or maybe you felt like had supported. So, well, yeah. And then like, tell us about this client. So you didn't do cold outreach. How did you kind of stumble into this? And then what was the deal terms?
So it was pretty interesting. So I came across him on a sales call on the offer that I'm on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the partner of a really big creator that has 500,000 followers, right? And he was like, "Look, I want to start this. The business that I was basically closing on was content reward, like the new WAP content rewards thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he was like, "Look, I want to do content rewards for my business." But I'm connected with all these really big guys. He's like, I'm connected with Kevin O'Leary and Cody Sanchez, all these huge guys, right? The reason why I'm doing it is because I want to make sure that I am able to make it work out so I can pitch this idea to these guys, right? So I spoke to him, and then eventually I told him, I was like, maybe this offer isn't for you, right? Because you said you want it to work immediately as fast as possible. I was like, maybe you should hire an agency to do this for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was that I partnered him, and that was me, like basically, like I could have sold him the product, but I had his best interest at heart there, which ended up
Yep.
working out because of being very genuine to him, right?
Yep.
His best interest at heart. And I paired him up with an agency that did that, right? Now he's paired up with this agency, and he's like, all right, his goal is to get as many conversions as possible. So from the content rewards to getting as many high ticket clients as he possibly can. So I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then me and you had just met, and I just joined the group. So I pitched him the idea. I was like, hey, why don't I, while you're doing the content rewards and that side with the agency, why don't I go ahead, set up all of your sales systems, set up your sales processes, scripts, all the back end automations, everything that you would need for a high ticket product and launch the product already exists, right? You
Mm-hmm.
just be able to handle all the traffic that comes in from the content rewards and from publicly announcing the project because your project wasn't publicly announced. So I was like, let me handle all that,
Mm-hmm.
prepare your audience, and do all that. Um, and he was like, sure, cool, let's do it. And the deal ended up being a $5,000 deal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it was 3 weeks launch, 3 weeks for launch, and then after launch, I'll support and manage his sales team just for 1 month. I'll give him one call a week, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll like hop on a call with his closers and his setters and stuff like that. Each of them just once a week, and just kind of help them get a little bit better. And once the product is launched, the main service I'm providing is the pre-launch process. Once the product is launched, I'll kind of just manage the sales team and stuff like that. But I'm also hiring and stuff like that as well. Getting everything together, right? And then he wanted to do it. I didn't negotiate any kind of revenue share or anything like that because I kind of just wanted it to be like a one and done thing. Now I'm considering possibly after that month, after launch, going for maybe a 20% revenue share or something of that nature. Most likely to go after something like that, and he's gonna do it. I mean, I have no issue. I have no concern about him not wanting to renew that. Right. And then after that 5K, he was unhappy with the guy that I paired him up with for the content rewards, right? So I just said, hey, why don't I just do that for you instead? And he was like, all right, cool. And I was like, all right, so let me get another 2,500. And he was like, all right. So I basically, from the first client, was able to get 7,500 out of him.
Wow. Just like that. Full almost 2x ROI on the program itself right there.
I mean, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and just to hop on a skip. What was maybe the biggest thing you felt like you were able to take from the program that, maybe allowed you to be able to, bring something like that to fruition?
So number one is I wouldn't have even thought to reach out to these guys. Like, again, I was fully focused on cold outreach before I spoke to you, and you shifted my perspective on that. And once you really had me sit down and list out every single person that I know that, could benefit from something like this, or might know somebody who benefits from something like this, right? That's when it kind of just popped in my head. The idea of him came to my mind, gave him a call. I was like, I spoke to him all this time ago. I helped him out. I was being genuine with him. You know what I mean? Now it might be time to cash in that
Will
had on my side.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. So like what's next? What's over the horizon? First client in, next 3 weeks are kind of locked in as far as getting that up, but what's next for you?
Yeah, so our launch is on May 1st, so we have about 3 weeks left. Launch on May 1st. So I'm just working on a couple of different things right now. I mean, I created all of his sales processes, right? I created all of his scripts. Now I'm pretty much just doing the hiring. And I have to set up some automations through Zapier for the Slack channel. Post call notes, end of day forums, and all that stuff. Make sure everything is, set up like a KPI tracking dashboard for him, so that everything's nice all in one place. So I'll probably use Looker Studio or something like that, right? And then warming up his audience, right? So I'm in the process of moving over the actual warm up for his audience starts next week on Monday. So 5 days from now, 6 days, about 4 days from now, 5 days from now.
And I also think about, as far as what comes next too, like when you think about kind of within your career and within the skill set too, because you have this other client, but like, what do you kind of see for like your career now compared to prior to actually having broken the seal into, full stack consulting?
Yeah, I mean, I'm most likely, really what I'm looking for is probably just land. If I work with him full time, like in terms of like after our trial period is done and I start getting a revenue share from him, I'm not going to charge him another upfront setup thing. I'm just going to do revenue share for sales management and consulting and stuff like that. Maybe take a 20% revenue share from him, and then land 1 or 2 more clients. Right? Probably one more client. If I have 2 like whales,
because that would bring you to 3. Like you've already got one that you're working with.
Exactly.
Would be 2.
My original sales management client. Then I have the new one that I just landed. Right now, if I add 1 more onto that, right, I have 3 clients. Taking 20% revenue share from 2 of them, and then taking 5% from the first one that I'm working on. I think that'll be good for me. Just manage these clients, get them to 100, 200, 300K a month, and I'll be walking away with some good money if I actually am able to fully execute on that.
1,000%, because these people also too have good clients. We're not gonna good products. We're not gonna air them out, but they're in a good place where they've got potential, longevity and legitimacy behind them.
Yeah. No,
now, what would you say for anyone who's a skeptic of the program, maybe is thinking about it, considering it, circling the edge, but hasn't quite gotten over the hump?
If you're skeptical about it, just watch more videos just like this. Like people are actually seeing results. You know what I'm saying? People are actually, and the reason why I knew about Kaleb is because I have a friend who's inside of the group. And I also just seen him around the internet. Everybody talks about Kaleb. You know what I mean? I've seen people. You're known as the FSC, the fractional sales consulting guy, right?
Yep.
So I've heard about you, I've seen about you, I've watched a couple videos with you and stuff like that. I mean, if you're skeptical, just realistically just do it. Like the worst that can happen is that you're in the exact same position you were before. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Realistically, I mean, if you're already high ticket closing, I mean, this is not going to be for everybody, obviously, right? But if
Hmm.
you're already closing on an offer or something like that, position that you're in is not horrible. You just want to make sure that you're in a higher leverage one, right?
Hmm.
So might as well take a chance on something that is proven to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're in the high ticket domain and have that background, because it's like guys like yourself with that background just smash it, absolutely
Yeah,
smash it. So,
yeah,
yeah. And I don't know if you talked about, but you got another deal over the horizon as well. If you want to kind of give a little tease as to what that might be.
yeah. So I mean, I had another guy who, uh, from within that same, from that sales management offer that I was originally on, right? I came across him on a call. I actually sold him a 5K package. Um, he joined the group and he's kind of working on the stuff inside of that group.
Hmm.
And he mentioned to me he doesn't want to focus on his agency anymore. He wants to focus on his info. He's a big guy, has like 130K followers, right?
Hmm.
120, something like that, right? He doesn't want to focus on his agency anymore. He wants to work on his info. He has like a mastermind. He teaches how to run paid ads and stuff like that. So I thought it was a really good idea. He was telling me about it, and I was like, "Hey, why don't you just let me handle all that stuff for you, and you can focus on the things that you want to focus on, which is fulfilling the people that I bring on for you." And he
Yep.
was like, "Okay, that makes sense." And he already has 15 people inside the mastermind. They already paid 5K each,
Hmm.
so it's a proven offer that does sell,
Yep.
right? So I spoke to him. I actually got off the phone with him maybe a couple hours ago. I told him, "Hey, all basically everything I'll do for him, all the pre-launch stuff and launching, and then after launch sales management. We'll kind of have like a thing going on
Hmm.
there." So I negotiated with him a 3-month contract. First month is going to be obviously for launch,
Hmm.
right? And after that is post launch, and I'll continue managing and taking care of the sales team from there. I told him a 10K upfront kind of ticket plus 20% revenue share
Hmm.
would be really good. I mean, this offer has the potential to do 150, 200K a month, and then
Yeah.
we kind of take over it with paid ads. And he's a paid ad guy; he knows what he's doing there, so we can, me and
Yeah.
him it's a really good partnership because I know sales, I know what to do
Yeah.
there. I mean, yeah, that would be a really good deal. It's a habit. I'm closing it in about 2 weeks from now,
Hmm.
right? So we'll kind of see how that goes.
Sweet. Yeah, 1000%. Well, you heard it here first, Michael, one of the newest into the program, and not the fastest to get a deal, but if that 10K comes through in 2 weeks, you will probably be up in the Hall of Fame as far as highest earning. So yeah, if you see him around and he's wearing a jumper with a big old M on it, you know where he got it as being part of the elite for sales consulting. But yeah, with that, Michael, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Talk
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you for having me on.